Gin. Gin is being produced by 5 different methods, believe it or not. The first method is the original distillation, which requires building a Carter head still, um, which is the gin head is filled with juniper berries and other botanicals according to their formula. As the mash is being distilled, the alcoholic flavors pass through the gin head, becomes impregnated with the aromatic oils of the botanics, and the resulting vapors come off the gin still at a high proof and can then condense into gin. Next, we have redistillation, which is quite similar to the original distillation method. However, the mash is distilled into a neutral spirit before it's being flavored, and then later it's cut with water. It's steeped with the botanicals, and then the redistillation process begins. And that's how you make it with the redistillation method. Within the distillation method, you have a unique style. It's called the cold or vacuum distillation, which in this vacuum chamber, you're allowed to manipulate the air pressure, which in this case, low air pressure, which lowers the boiling point for alcohol. Therefore, you're allowing the spirit to be macerated with juniper berries with no heat. For example, Oxley cold distilled London dry gin under -5 degrees Celsius. So requires no heat at all, and you're able to distill alcohol. Third, you have compound gin. Compound gin requires no redistillation. You take your neutral spirit, you mix it with extracts that tastes obviously like juniper berries. Fourth, you have cold compounding. There's 3 different methods. They're all very similar. The first one is basically involves a bunch of crushed botanicals and then later soak with neutral spirit for a week. Second is just adding the botanicals in a mash bag and then soak. Third method is called the circulatory method, which allows the botanicals to circulate within the tank to extract the flavor. Fifth, there's essential oils method, and as easy as it sounds, you add the neutral spirit with the essential oil that has juniper berry flavorings. All right, so we're gonna get some memorization going with these leading styles of gin. So, London Dry Gin, Plymouth Gin, Old Tom Gin, Gin de Mahon, Vilnius Gin. These are all quite key gins, classic leading styles of gin. What you need to know for London Dry Gin is that for the EU, how much sugar can you add? Has to be less or equal to 0.1 grams per liter. Must be made with the original or redistillation method. The style for London Dry Gin is light, dry, crisp, clean juniper berries. And yeah, next we have Plymouth Gin, which is just a bonus for London Dry Gin. Leading brands are Thackeray London Dry Gin, Bombay Dry, Bombay Sapphire, number 3 London Dry Gin, and Gordon's London Dry Gin. Next we have Plymouth Gin, which there are 2 different stories that talks about the origin of Plymouth Gin. Plymouth Gin has been enjoying since 1793. One of the only historic gins still produced today. The historic building of the Plymouth Gin used to inhabit by the Black Friars. And this gin is used for the dry martini recipe. The only name for the dry martini is our Marguerite cocktail. The style that you expect from Plymouth Gin is full body, fruity, aromatic, and the label that you see on the Plymouth Gin is Mayflower Ship, which is the ship that sailed to America. That's to do with their history, and it's their trademark label now. Thirdly, we have Old Tom Gin. Old Tom, that is the original gin used in the Tom Collins cocktail. Well, history is not quite sure how the name Old Tom came, but there is one of the stories for Old Tom Gin is that there's a London merchant named Dudley Bradstreet that sold gin illegally, and he sold it through a black cat is outside the door. So if you want a glass of gin, you would the merchant would pour the gin in a pipe leading out of the cat's paw, and you will have to stick your mouth under the paw to be able to drink the gin. It is used. Old Tom Gin is enjoyed by sipping or making craft cocktails. Next, we have Gin de Mahon. Gin de Mahon is produced on a Spanish island called Menorca. It is a GI. It's a white wine-based spirit that is redistilled in wood-fired copper pots with juniper berries, then aged in oak barrels. So remember, Gin de Mahon, Spanish, aged in oak barrels, and white wine based. Its style, it's smoky and has a clean finish. Last but not least, Vilnius Gin. It's a GI from Lithuania since 2008. That's all you need to remember for that. Moving on to U.S. flavored spirits. Well, I mean, just flavored spirits in general, but before we go into it, the U.S. flavored spirits requirement, it has to be more than 30% ABV. Yeah, and let's get into some of the well-known flavors gins. There's juniper flavored spirits, anise flavored spirits, and other flavored spirits, which is all in the category of gin. Starting with juniper flavors gin, we have 3 of them. We have Steinhager, Genever, and Wacholder. Steinhager is a German spirit, 500 years old. It is triple distilled grain spirit plus neutral spirit plus juniper berry distillate. That's the recipe of it. One of the only companies still makes it is called H.W. Schmidlinch. In 1989, it earned itself a GI. Genever is a quite large category, made with malted grain spirit plus juniper berries. Also referred to juniper gin, Dutch gin, or Holland gin. The GI for Genever, to be able to use the word Genever, the GI is limited to only 4 countries: Netherlands, Belgium, 2 departments in France, and in Germany. 2 most widely distributed are Jean Genever and Old Genever. The old means old style, which has to be greater than 15% ABV. It's straw colored, relatively sweet, and malty. Next we have Jaune. Jaune is a modern style, right? Jaune means young, Jonge. It is less than 15% ABV. It's drier and a lighter style. Both Old and Jaune requires no aging. And just to note, there's a big chart with 7 different styles of Genever on the textbook. So it follows Genever grain Geneva, fruit Geneva, Jean Geneva, Old Geneva, Hesles Geneva, Berlin Gems Geneva, Old Flandre Oost, Flams, Grand Geneva, Geneva Flandre, Artois. There's a lot. But we don't need to know them, just know Oud and Jean. And one of the most important things in Amsterdam when you're enjoying this Geneva drink, it could be also known as Koopstootjes, Kopstootjes, and you take a shot of that, first sip actually, of the Geneva or the Koopstoots, and then follow with a glass of beer. So that's the tradition there. Thirdly, we have Wacholder. Wacholder means juniper in German. Produced in the northern Rhine, Westphalia, in Germany. The oldest distillery that makes Wacholder is called Brennerei Eversbusch. It's founded in 1780. Anise flavored spirit. So it's derived from star anise, green anise, licorice, fennel. And all this flavor will contribute to the spirit. The flavor compound of all this is called anethol, right? Licorice like anise like aroma, anethol, Anethole. And another thing is that when you add anise flavor spirits to water, it turns cloudy, which is called luching. Perfect example for that is raki. If I actually had raki, water it turns milky from like water white spirit to milky. Alright, so some of the spirits we're going to touch on is raki, arak, absinthe, Pernod Pastille, Absinthe, ouzo. First off, we're going to talk about raki. Raki is Turkish. I've had this before. It's quite strong, lion's milk. The grapes that they use is Sultana and Razaki, 2 grapes, grape based. And then so Sultana and Razaki makes the base spirit, which are called Suma. So Suma is the base spirit. And how you make raki is Suma plus a neutral spirit, and then you redistill it plus the anise seed. Rest for more than 30 days or a month, and it's ready. Arak, however, is wildly popular in Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Palestine, and Jordan. All the battlefields nowadays. The Muslim world over there. And it's typically served with meze. Meze are appetizers, so arak and meze. Third, we have absinthe. Absinthe, quite popular. And the base ingredients for making absinthe using anise, sweet fennel, leaves of Artemisia, and absinthium, which is wormwood. That's really important. Artemisium as absinthium, wormwood. Perhaps the absinthium makes the name absinthe here. The first distillery ever made absinthe is in Kovet, Switzerland. However, let's see, I think there's it was first produced in the Neuchâtel canton of Switzerland. So there's two cases. There's 2 stories of the origin of absinthe, and it's not going to be on the test, but just to keep in mind. Pernod Fille, which is a popular brand of absinthe. Pernod Fille as in sun in French. So most popular brand until 1914, where France banned the consumption of absinthe, because there's a harmful chemical compound called Tujon, Tujon, Tujon. During that time frame, 1915, most EU countries banned it, but later realized that the UK never banned it. Therefore, it kind of renewed interest. Um, and actually, before that, in the late 19th, that's the 20th century, Paris-based artists and writers like Ernest Hemingway, Charles Baudelaire, Henri de Toulouse, Lautrec, Vincent van Gogh, and Oscar Wilde, they all love drinking absinthe, quote unquote, the bohemian lifestyle. But they banned it, and then later on, they found out the UK didn't ban it. So during 1998, it regained popularity, and everyone started legalizing it, and found that Tujon is not too bad for you with if you have the right amount. So for the US, they only allow less equal to 10 parts per million Tujon in their absence, and they're in 2019, which is quite fairly recently, Absence de Pontelier, earned himself a GI. Pontelier. Why and Pontelier plays a pretty big role here. Pontelier, France, because after the first absinthe distillery in Cauves, Switzerland, they actually built a second distillery in Pontelier, France, in 1805. I believe that's has connection. And that's ended with kind of the most important information you need to know for absinthe. Moving on to Pernod and Pastis, Pernod, and Pastis is Pastis. Pernod, which has a pretty interesting story too. Has connection because the story goes as Maison Pernod Fille Distillery, which makes the absinthe. They were closed because of the ban in 1928, but they relaunched a anise spirit, which in this case doesn't have the wormwood, right? Minus the wormwood, but sweeter and lower in alcohol. This was able to be sold, and this gained popularity instantly to the absinthe-starved French population. 4 years later, 23-year-old Paul Richard discovered a formula for anise-based spirit that is called pastis and is dry anise-based spirit option. Therefore, Nordic records a formula contained fennel, licorice root, and 48 other botanicals. The two firms later on merge as Pernod Richard, so they sell Pernod and Pastis. One thing you know for Pastis in the EU, there's a specific style called Pastis de Marseille, which is in Marseille, France. Yeah, it's pretty important. And we have Herb Saint. Herb Saint is an anise liquor created in New Orleans, first produced in 1934. It's known for the absinthe-centric establishment as the Old Absinthe House on Bourbon Street. Yay, I've been there. Perfect. Next, we have Ouzo. It is a Greek anise aperitif. Ouzo is made by Onx, anise flavored pomace brandy. There's 2 GIs in Cyprus, Greece. That's all you need to know. Moving on to other flavored, technically gins. So we have Pacharon, Pachalan, Pachar, apostrophe A-N, Akavit. Pacharan is created north Spain, in regions like Navarro, La Rioja, Basque, produced using sloe berry, coffee, vanilla bean, and soaked in anise flavored spirits for 1 to 8 months. Sounds delicious. It could be dry or slightly sweet. Akavit. Akavit is a Scandinavian, produced in Scandinavian since the 15th century. Is enjoyed as an aperitif It's caraway flavored grain, distilled either from grain plus potato. There are how many different are there? Okay, so there's 2 akavits GIs. Actually, I don't think this is a GI. So you have Tafel akavit, which is a clear, unaged, and Linge, Linje aquavit from Norway. It's aged, and lined. The lin means line in Norwegian, and means the line shipping from Norway to Australia back to Norway to be bottled. There's 2 GIs in Norway. There's 2 GIs in Norway and in Sweden.